What's up, Grace Girls? Welcome to the Allow Yourself Grace podcast, where we focus on helping Black women change their lives by discarding negative thoughts, pivoting in the right direction, and shifting their mindset through cultivating a trauma-free lifestyle. I'm your host, Courtney Kristen, educator, content creator, life coach, counselor, and mental health enthusiast living in Houston, Texas. I created the Allow Yourself Grace podcast because I wanted to create a space for Black women to share their thoughts, feelings, and stories that make them who they are without fear of judgment. Allow Yourself Grace provides emotional support and encouragement within the Grace Girls community for women in need of non-biased opinions from women other than family and friends. Personal development, self-care, career, faith are among many of the topics we will discuss on this platform. Allow Yourself Grace podcast is here to encourage Black women to live unapologetically and thrive in being authentically who they are and were designed to be, an entire vibe. No topics are off limits. We will cover it all. Now, grab a notebook, pen, sit back, and enjoy the show. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Allow Yourself Grace podcast. I have another special guest at the house. Y'all know I'm always super excited when I have guests. We are in season 4. We're killing it, okay? I'm consistent, right? We're going to be in season 10 before you know it. But I have a special guest, and as always, I like to let my guests introduce themselves so I don't forget any of the credentials because everybody I bring is bomb.
Thank you. I'll probably forget my own credentials.
Right.
So my name is Connie Leon, and I'm the founder and creator of Houston Latina Collaborative. I also have my own small business and content development company called The Creativity Well. And I also work full-time in higher ed.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So we're going to break all the things down because I know people are like, wait, okay, what does all that entail? So I want you to start with the Latina Collaborative.
Yes.
What does that entail? So what are you exactly doing?
So Houston Latina Collaborative started as Houston Latina bloggers. So a long time ago when people were blogging and trying to figure out social media, we created a group and literally it was 4 or 5 people. Mm-hmm. I always tell the story. We were at a conference, a local conference here in Houston, and there was only 4 or 5 of us, only 4 or 5 brown people in this entire conference. And I'm like, this is Houston. There has to be other bloggers and content creators. And mind you, this was like 9 years ago. So it wasn't even that long ago. And we looked around, we're like, oh my God, it's just us. We're the only Latinas in this room. Like, why is that? So we set out to find each other, right? All brown creators at that moment or at that time. And so it's evolved into not just like a meetup group, but it became a networking group, an education group, right? So we did workshops, we did networking events. We've now collaborated with big brands. We've worked with Macy's, Chi, Walmart, Ford. You know, we've gotten all these different sponsors to come on with us over the years, and we've built the group. There's almost 800 content creators, and of course that now includes entrepreneurs and other ethnicities, other backgrounds, LGBTQ.
I love it.
It's created or been developed into an all-inclusive entrepreneur and creator group.
I love that. So do you have a lot of like different age ranges?
Yes, definitely. So we have really young women and up until, 60s, whatever it is, however old you are. But yeah, definitely.
Okay. And so if someone wanted to be involved with it, how could they become a part of it?
So we do have a private Facebook group, which is a group that has almost 800 people in it. And again, since it's become inclusive, there are gay men in the group and, just other people that are not just Latinas. So you go through our Instagram page, which is the Houston Latina Collaborative, and there should be a link to our link tree, and it has the application to apply to the private Facebook group. Okay. And we post a lot on our Instagram, but all of the events and who needs what is in the Facebook group.
Okay, that's cool. So is there a certain criteria that they have to meet? How do you all vet the people?
So definitely you have to be some type of an entrepreneur or creative. We don't allow just if you just are trying to figure out what the group is about,
Yeah.
you have to definitely have a purpose and a true intention to be a part of the group, to already have something that you're trying to develop, and to participate not just as like somebody who's taking resources, but giving back in some way.
Yeah.
So there's questions on there, right, that are asking you like, what kind of a creative are you? What kind of entrepreneur are you? And so if you tell us like, oh, well, I have an idea and I want to create this, then we can definitely allow that. But usually it's people who are already established. So someone like you, if you come and fill out the application, I have a podcast, I do XYZ, then it would be almost an immediate yes.
Right. Okay. I love it. Because you got to have some criteria.
Yes, definitely.
I was talking to someone about that earlier. I'm like, yeah, unfortunately you do, because of course we want to let everybody into things, but everybody's energy doesn't match.
Right.
The energy.
Well, not just that, but like it's a Houston Latina. We get a lot of men who are just randomly looking to get in the group. I'm like, no, you're not allowed. It's not that kind of group, right?
So not that kind of group, sir.
No.
No, so, I love that because you have a lot of young women that are, aspiring and they want to be a part, and so you don't want someone in there that shouldn't be in there.
Yeah, that's being creepy or just weird about things. No.
Right. Yeah. So tell us about the higher ed. So what exactly are we doing in that space?
So in higher ed, because I have a background in small business and content development, I'm mostly doing small business development in that space.
Okay.
I have, over the last year and a half, created and developed a small business program. It's completely free. It came to us through a grant. So the program is, again, for small businesses that are creatives and makers.
Oh, cool.
I definitely revolve almost everything that I do now 110% around creatives and makers. So it's a program. It has different workshop series, different classes that revolve around business and small business owners and creatives, and it's attached to resources like we have a small production room, not like what you have going on, but it's a little production room. We have a small podcast room, and then we have a makerspace that we
I love that.
Yeah, we use as a resource. So.
Oh my God, I'm so passionate about entrepreneurship and creatives because growing up, I don't know your age range, but I'm sure we're kind of probably in the same
42.
age range. We're in that area. But what I was going to say was it wasn't, that side of us wasn't cultivated, right?
At all.
And so now we have all these spaces for the up-and-coming youth and resources. And so I just love that because I didn't know about this program. And so I'm sure there's some other people out here that didn't know about it. So definitely, if you're a creative or you're thinking of doing something, definitely go ahead and reach out. Yeah. Connie's always on IG, so
Instagram,
you can catch her on there. I kind of want to talk about your coaching, so your mindset coaching. How did you get into that?
So I think it started during COVID, where we were all kind of, in this space of like mental health was a big thing. Right. Everything that was going on, there was the shutdown, we couldn't leave our houses. And I'm someone who is extremely active. I'm very much in the public. I'm very much outside, right? In the streets, as I say all the time. And so for me to be at home, it was such a big mental shift.
Wow.
And it just kind of reminded me of the fact that like, you can slow down, and guess what? Like, the world didn't end, right? Like, bad things happened, of course, and it was horrible. But at the same time, like, for me, I didn't go to the networking events. I wasn't creating a workshop.
Right.
I wasn't around, people every day. And I survived and everything was fine. So it started then, and it was more of me helping other small business owners kind of slow down and just shift into, you know what, everything's going to be fine. Let's just relax today. Tomorrow will be another day. So it started there.
Yeah.
With just kind of my own like reflection of where I was and where I wanted to be without having to like match anyone's hustle or, the like fear of like the FOMO, right? The fear of like I'm missing out on something. Like, no, you really didn't miss out on anything. Everything was still fine. So it started there. Okay. And I've had a few clients that it's more goal oriented and kind of shifting your mentality of like what to get done. And it goes back to that, right? Of like slowing down, having goals, but just knowing that sometimes things don't, pan out the way you think they are.
Right. And just taking time to like sit down and analyze what you've done already.
Yeah.
That was part of me coming up with this name for my podcast, Allow Yourself Grace. It's like, you've done so much. Yeah. Let's slow down and think about, okay,
give myself credit for what I've already done. And then let's come up with a plan on how I want to move forward without overwhelming myself, right?
Yeah.
And so I love that you said that, because I think as entrepreneurs and creatives, we do have all these ideas and we have all these things that we want to do all at once.
Yeah.
And it can be overwhelming. So having someone to sit you down and be like, hey, let's slow down. How about you take the day off today and then we come back?
It's
so
a constant. It's a constant going back to yourself and saying, why am I in such a hurry to do and to create if I've already done all of these things, right? I just did that to myself like in the last month where my dad is sick. My dad has Alzheimer's. And at the same time, I was like, a lot of stuff was going on at work. And I was like, you know what? Like, I can take this week off and deal with, you know, anything at home and helping my dad and not have to worry about whether or not I'm producing at work because in this last year, I've done so much and created so much and built so much that my boss is going to be okay. You know, everything at work is going to be okay. I need to focus on home for a minute. Yeah. So you have to like reevaluate that for yourself every so often.
Yeah. And think about what's the priority at the moment.
Yeah, definitely.
At the moment, because we're trying to think about everything at one time and it can just be overwhelming. I saw you a couple weeks ago. You were speaking at an event. So what type of events do you speak at?
So usually anything women related. So women, leadership, anything. I've been trying to do more of like the TED Talky kind of thing. I was really trying to get into that during right before COVID. And so I didn't really get to finish a program that I was doing. So it's that type of an event that I'm trying to, or that type of speaking that I'm trying to do. But anything related to social media, content development, now, of course, small business development. And that revolves around Black and Brown communities and women.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. So are you doing anything with like the younger girls, like the Latina girls or brown and, you know?
I hadn't started. I have a daughter. My daughter's 12. And so she is like my main, you know.
She's a mini-me.
Teenage girl. Yeah. She's the main teenage girl that I work with every day. But working in higher ed, I thought, well, I'm just going to work with college, you know, and adults that are doing small business.
Right.
My college is actually attached to an early college high school. So because of that, I was kind of pushed into like middle school and high school age. I wasn't planning it. So the last year and a half, I have been working a lot with middle school and high school age kids.
And how has that been?
It's interesting because I have 2 teenagers at home. So I'm always trying to pull out of the hat, like, what's going to make me cool? What's going to make me relevant so that they pay attention to me, right? Yeah. And so, because I tell my kids and they're like, Mom, that's not cool. Like, don't say that when you're talking. So it's been interesting and it's been definitely rewarding. Yeah. Right. Because working with younger girls, especially who are Black and brown and coming from certain backgrounds, I grew up, lower economic status with like, I grew up in like the not so well off neighborhoods in Houston. I'm from Northside. And so kind of telling my story of where I came from and where I am now. Because I know like girls will see me walk into a room and if I'm dressed up in a suit or whatever and then speak the way I speak and they're like, oh, this is not relatable. But then I tell them like, look, my parents were not rich. We did not have a lot of money. My parents were on food stamps. There was like addiction and abuse in my family. Like once I start telling my story and they can see like, you're really coming from where we are right now or where we have been, then it makes it a lot easier for them to kind of open up to listen to me and to like figure out, okay, well, if you got out of that and are where you are, like, how can I do that?
Yeah, so because they need to see, like you said, they need to see the example, like someone that looks like me or someone that came from where I came from can actually relate. Yeah. And so you can become this person one day. So it's good that they have, people like you and people like me and, different people to just look up to. Yeah. Because a lot of times, and I heard this the other day when I was listening to the radio, like you can't see outside of your environment because when you're in it, it's like you can't see. It's kind of like a picture. Yeah. When you're in the frame, you can't see. So you literally have to step out of it to look at it to really see, hey, there's more going on around here.
And in return, for me, now as an adult, I kind of think about what other people see in me that I don't always see in myself. So I tend to I'm just like, I'm working, I'm doing, and I forget that other people are watching me, and they're like, you're so amazing and you're so this, and I'm like, no, like I'm really not.
Like I was just crying 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I just had a mental breakdown in the car. So so but it kind of brings you back that perspective of like, yes, like other people are watching you, and whether it's a young girl or another adult, and they can tell you like, hey, you're doing amazing, you're doing all these great things. So you definitely have to look at all the perspectives, right? Like you don't see yourself in what you've gone through and how you've gotten out of it. Because like you said, you're in it. Yeah. I'm like, I'm struggling. It's bad, but once you get out of it and people see that, it's a whole different story.
It is. And, when you're operating in your purpose, it can only work out for you, right? Yeah. Like, you're going to go through those moments. Like, I literally said today, I was like, I hate the process. Yeah. Like, we all hate the process, which is why most people don't succeed as entrepreneurs, or they don't succeed in general because of the process. Because when it gets tough, you quit. And so I'm like, when you're in it, it's like, man, you got to fight through it. Yeah. You got to, one day I might be down, but tomorrow I'm back in, so those are the moments that I like people to hear, because it's like, it's real, because you see us on social media and you're probably like, oh, wow, they have it all together. They're doing this, they're doing that. But it's like, no, there's a whole process behind this. So one of the things that I love about you is that you always share your story when you're speaking. And when someone's looking at your social media, they can see both sides of you, right? Yes. They can kind of see, oh, Connie's out. She's social. She's being just a normal person. Yeah. Oh, this is Connie when she's in her mode. Yeah. Like when she's on go. So I love that. So if you guys haven't followed Connie, make sure you go follow her. I'm going to put her social media on the screen. But I heard you speak for the first time at Melanin Minds. Yes. And so one of the things that intrigued me most about you is what I just said was one of the points that you made. How did you get to that point of, I'm going to share who I am authentically, unapologetically, without wondering if somebody's going to be like, oh, well, that's not who I thought you were. Yeah.
So I think because of how I started as a blogger, I was watching everybody's social media kind of grow and expand, when social media first started. Not when it first started, but, when it first was getting popular and everybody was in it. And I was just sharing. I was just trying to create content just for myself, right? And once I started seeing people, like, perfectly curate all of their stuff, and then I would know them in person, and I'm like, but that's not who you are. Like, all the pretty pink and white, like, that's not who you are in person. So I didn't want that to be me. Right. I didn't want people to think like, oh, she's perfect and everything's perfect in her life, because that's not. Right. And so ever since then, like I said, my son is now 14. He'll be 14 next month. So ever since I started blogging and creating content, I made sure 13 years ago that I was always myself. But also as I've gotten older, it's just been a matter of like, I really don't care, right? Like, not that I don't care what people think about me, but I'm going to be myself, and I can't care what other people think, because if I am true to myself, then I'm going to attract those people that are going to, be in my space and in my community. So it's just been a little bit of just observing and knowing that that's not how I wanted to be, and being myself, and not really, just not doubting it, and knowing that at the end of the day, if I'm acting a mess or if I'm doing whatever online, the people that are supposed to be in that space are in that space. There. Yeah.
Because your supporters are your supporters. Yeah. Like, they regardless. Really, and the thing is, they want to see both sides of you. I know I have my personal page, and then I have my podcast page. And so people are like, oh, you posted a picture. I'm like, yeah, I rarely post pictures, but I posted a picture today on my personal page. So people do want to see.
They do want to see
both sides of you, and kind of like, oh, you can relate. That's why I used to worry about, like, when I speak, sometimes I mess up words because I'm from the country. Like, we mess up words. Like, we have an accent. And so I used to be like, oh, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not starting a podcast. Like, I'm not doing that.
I mess up words, too, because I have, like, a Latina accent, right? Like, a Mexican accent. So there's a lot of words I can't say, or, and I don't care. I'm like, I'm still going to say it.
Now it's just like,
I'm going to try. If I mess it up, I mess it up.
Right. And I just say all that to say, because there could be someone watching and they're like, I don't want to start doing anything because I'm worried about what people are going to say. But I would say number one is, like, stop spending so much time looking at other people. Yeah. because when you do that, it's like you spend time comparing yourself, and you never really get it done because you're like, oh, well, she has this and I don't have it. You know, did you ever go through a point, like when you first started, like, I don't really know if I want to do it, or did you just kind of like jump out there? And
it was kind of crazy for me because I started doing it because it was fun. It was new. Blogging was new. I got into photography for a while, like all the things, right? Like content creators. And so once I started having my kids, I was like, okay, I want to do this to document them. And it grew so fast. Like the whole mommy blogger space grew so fast. And because I was the only, almost the only Spanish speaking, Spanish writing content creator, I was able to immediately get a lot of sponsors and get a lot of collaborations. So I kind of jumped into it and went with it, right?
I love it.
There was points where I've always worked a full-time job. And so there were points where I was like, I'm tired, I'm just not going to do it. And it was easy for me to stop creating for a little bit because I had a full-time job. I've had a full-time job always. So it was that, but it was never like, I never really doubted myself, or I can't do this, or I shouldn't. It was more of like, do I have time? Like, do I really want to do it? Is this fun? So I've had those moments.
Where does your drive come from? Do you think it comes from your dad, your mom, your family, or just like what you've been through?
I think it's a combination of things, right? My mom is a hard worker and like a super hustler. She always has been. And so I look to her a lot. I always tell the story of my mom because she's one of my biggest motivations. But then I also feel a lot of it is like in myself, right? You are just kind of born sometimes with like that motivation. Now, my kids are a big motivation. Other people, right? I meet other women, and if they tell me like, I'm watching you and everything you're doing, and I'm like, I gotta keep going, you know, I can't give up. Because like you said, there's moments, and I've had moments even in the last month with things going on at work or my dad that literally have been in bed crying for 2 days, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like, I need to keep going now. So a lot of it is myself. A lot of it is my past situations. And a lot of it is the people in my life.
I love it. Because through it all, we have to persevere.
Yeah.
Like, we have to push forward. I know, like you said, it's either in you or it's not, right? The hustle, the drive, it's like...
It's hard to say that about people, but it's true.
It's true.
Because there's so many people that have so much potential and could be doing so much, but... What is that saying? You can't lead a horse to water, right? And make them drink because, you know, you see it in people. They don't see it in themselves. They don't have that motivation, and you can't get stuck there. You have to keep going.
Do you think the most important part about being successful or anything that you're doing is your mindset? Like, you truly have to believe it before you even get there?
Yes and no, because I feel like I've had moments where I don't believe in myself, but because I see other people, believe in me, I'm like, you know what? Let me shift this of like, you know what? I can do this today. You know, there was something last week that I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm just going to cancel and be like, you know what? I don't know. And then I was like, but like, what would this serve? You know, what's the purpose? Who's going to be there? Who could I help with this? And then that kind of pushes me to move forward. So I think it happens almost, you know, every once in a while where I do kind of, you know, feel like I can't do something. But at the same time, I'm like, let me just try. You know,
I love it. No, I love it because people need to see that tenacity, like real go-getters. Because like real go-getters don't think like I can't do it. It's like, how am I going to get it done? Like,
even if you think you can't, there's always in that back of like, let me just try.
Let me just try. Let me figure out something. Let me make a phone call or something. Like,
you're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, you go into problem solving mode.
Yes.
And it just makes things so much better because it's like, dang, I really pulled that off. Like, I pulled that shit off, like, for real.
So I think the event you're talking about was the real estate event. I'd never spoken to real estate agents. And it was kind of not an intimidating space, but a new space. And so I've been telling the story of I went to that event, and when I finished it, I felt great. And so many people wanted to connect with me. I was like, I'm so glad I did this. It was like a really good moment where I was like, you know what? I'm glad I came. I'm glad I showed up. And just genuinely shared things and people were, wanting to talk to me. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because we can all relate on some level.
Yeah.
New spaces are kind of like, oh, I don't know what I'm going into, but here I am. Yeah. I kind of felt like that about Melanin Minds. Even though I knew it was a mental health conference, I'm in the mental health space because that's what I do. But it's like, what am I don't know what to expect.
But you guys did so good. I watched the live, the live podcast. Amazing. Yeah. I loved it.
So it was new, but it was fun. And people like Connie said it was amazing. So it was like, oh, I want to do this again.
Yeah.
So, just whenever you're feeling like I'm not really sure about something, like give it a try. Yeah. Like sometimes it works out and then sometimes it lets you know like, okay, I don't want to do that anymore. Yeah. Right?
It could go both ways, right? Where you're like, oh, that was good, but it wasn't a good fit.
Right. So at Melanin Minds, you were on how many panels?
2. I moderated 2.
Oh, you moderated 2.
Yes.
But you spoke. Did you speak? You were on one.
Well, because I moderated, and so that kind of made me.
You were still
a speaker.
Yeah, you were still a speaker.
Yeah.
So, what was one of your topics? I know one of them because I sat in one of them. But
so one of them was the social media, and the other one was mom advocacy. Or moms who are advocates for their children.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the social media piece.
Yes.
If I was a new creative and I'm just getting started, what advice would you give me?
So I think just like what we've been talking about is if you have an idea, if you're going to do something, just do it, right? Yes, do your research. Yes, figure out like what your niche is and what platform you want to use and all of these, little details, but don't sit on it for 2 years, right? Like if you're going to do it, open your Instagram page, figure out how to build your website, do your TikTok, whatever it is, and just do it. That's always my biggest thing is don't sit on it. Don't wait. Even if you start off and you think you're not, doing it wrong or you're not doing it the way you feel you want to do it, you can always go back and fix it. Right. I can go back and delete everything on my Instagram right now and start over. You know what I mean? So
some of y'all know that, right? When you're in a relationship, you go delete all those pictures.
Exactly. You go back and delete everything. So
those pictures.
Yeah, so that's the same thing, right? Even my TikTok now, like my old TikToks are my daughter and I randomly dancing, right? Doing all the little dance TikToks. I went back and now it's more myself, like my self-love journey, my just mostly a lot of self-love journey kind of stuff, and then a lot of content creating stuff.
Okay.
So, I could definitely go back and delete all the old stuff because
you
now
can always re-image. Yeah. Always.
Yeah. So that's always my thing is just move forward with whatever idea you have.
Yeah. I love it. How's the self-love journey going?
Girl, that's a forever thing. So I have a lot of friends who are therapists. I've seen a therapist for a very long time. Not the same one, different ones. Usually it's a Latina, so they all kind of know each other. And I was talking to one of my girlfriends, and I was like, hey, like, I keep hearing that you shouldn't, like, jump into a new relationship or get in a new relationship if you're still healing.
Right.
And on this self-love and healing journey. And she was like, why? I'm like, I don't know. That's just what people say. I'm like, but I've been healing and on this self-love journey for like 5 years, right?
She's like
ever since my divorce. So I'm like, and I've been in, short relationships and stuff, but I'm like, I just feel like I love myself. I'm very confident in who I am, what I want. Sometimes that's what drives men away, right? Is the fact that I'm so assertive. Yeah. And so for me, it's been great in the sense of, yes, I've definitely found myself, figured out what I want, who I am, very confident, love the spaces that I'm in. But how much is too much healing, right? Like, when is it over? It's never over.
I know. I was like, time's up.
It's consistent. Yeah. Like, okay, this is it. No, but it's been a good journey for me. It's been hard. COVID, I think, was the hardest because, again, I was home, reflecting, talking to myself every day.
Oh, my God. That was a crazy time.
But it helped me. During that time, I think I let go of a lot of things. And, I've done a lot of, like, retreats and solo trips and stuff like that. So it's been good.
That's good. That's good because it teaches you about yourself.
Yeah.
It's also what it's going to do when you do find the person is kind of like, now I love myself so much. I'm teaching you how to love me as well. Yeah, because sometimes we're in a space to where we don't even care that much about ourselves. So then when we get in a relationship, it's kind of like, oh, I'm going to treat you because you don't even treat yourself
Right.
You know, and we don't realize that we're doing that.
Right.
And so spending that time to heal is great. Yeah. People recognize when you have like a special aura about you, or okay, now you're too confident, now you're too assertive. Like they're picking out all these things because maybe they don't have those things.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think when you really meet your person, they kind of align and they match your energy. They don't try to tear you down. They just take you for who you are.
Yep.
And they'll tell you when it's a little too much.
Yeah.
And I can respect that.
Yeah.
Just don't be trying to say, I'm too assertive.
Yeah, no, it is.
Just be like, babe, I need you to like, you know, it's not about what you say, it's how you say it.
Definitely. And I think that's been one of the biggest things is like guys don't really know how to handle me at first, right? First of all, I have a lot of energy, right? And if we go out and like drink, then I have 110 times energy, right? So that's one big thing for me. And I've tried to like bring myself back, right? And it just ends up really awkward because I'm like, this is not me. So yeah, I think that's going to be a big thing right now is like a guy who can just accept me.
Right. Are you looking for like because you're like, you're out, are you looking for somebody to match your energy or looking for somebody that's like?
So I've dated both. I've dated like guys who just kind of like, I'm chill, you know, like super chill and calm and I'm the one that's like da 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 da. And then I've dated the guys who are like similar to me and I like both. Like I really, as long as you're okay with yourself in the space and I'm okay with me, you know, if you want to be chill and laid back, cool.
So you don't have a list?
I do have a list.
Y'all know we always get into the list.
I have a ton of lists. I do. I was like, actually, it's in my car. Because I carry my little notebook with me. I'm a writer, so I carry my notebook with me. So I do. I've revised my list. There's a list that I made in, so what year are we in? 23? In 2021. I think it was like November, December. And literally the guy I dated in 22. Yes, last year. He fit that list, almost everything on the list.
What was missing?
So it was him. He still had some like hang-ups on his ex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you know, it kind of ultimately it went back to him. He was a great guy. Like I said, everything on the list, everything matched. He was either chill or he would match my energy. So everything was really good. But yeah, he had a lot of past things with his ex-wife that he was still trying to work through.
So do you believe that sometimes your type isn't your type? Like what we think we like is not really what's meant for us?
Yes, because in the last 5 years, I feel like I've dated guys who I thought, this is it. This is my type. This is what I want. And then I've ended up like talking to other guys who I'm like, this is not really what I thought I wanted, but I want it, you know?
Yeah. So, because sometimes it can look like what you want, but then when you get to the core of what's going on, you're like, okay, no.
And so that's what I've discovered, right, is that I dated a whole bunch of guys at the beginning that, like, looked
They looked the part.
And then we would talk, and there was no, like, depth, right? It was like, okay, so now what? You're really cute, but what are we going to talk about? Because there's a long life ahead of us. And so if there's not that, really for me, like mentally, right? Like someone who is going to deep analyze things with me, not like in a bad way, right? But analyze things like to where it's smart, where you want to have a smart conversation. Or just think about things a little bit deeper.
Right.
Whether it's life things, emotions, whatever it may be. That's a big thing. Being able to talk to someone.
Yeah. I mean, the communication is key. Yeah. Like, because you can get bored easily. Yeah. In a relationship. And then when you are like driven and you're out, you're doing all these things, you meet some guys that are like, they don't want you to be in the spotlight, you know, because they feel like you're trying to be masculine or maybe you're trying to do too much, right? That's the new thing, you're doing too much.
And my kids tell me that all the time. Mom, you do too much.
Yeah, you do too much. So it's like you have to find someone that kind of like balances you, especially because you're doing all the things, you're working, you're a mom.
Well, that is supportive, right? That understands where you're going, what you want to do, and is just like, okay, you know what? That's amazing. Right. Just do it.
Right, and I support you when I'm here. Yeah, and that's what she's looking for, y'all. Okay, we need support, and vice versa. You know, because women, we're the same way. We have men have their list.
Yes, definitely.
And we could check that list off, but then be like, I'm not doing. I didn't sign up for that, bro.
Yeah,
not doing that.
Yeah, it works both ways for sure.
Yeah, it does work both ways. So, what's coming for you? What do you have coming up?
So I am actually trying to work more on my consulting side, more of strategy, small business strategic planning stuff. Not so much content development. I do still, want to do that a little bit. But for me, I'm trying to build more of, like I said, the small business strategy, using all the resources that I kind of already know about in town and or in Houston, and then building from that on my own outside of, my 9-to-5 job. But definitely for like my job, I'm going to move now from small business development into more community partnerships.
Oh, okay.
So that's something that I'm going to work on also. But yeah, there's just a lot. There's a lot.
No, there's a lot. But I love the community piece because you're out and you're out and about, and so I'm sure they recognize that about you. And like, oh yeah, you'd be perfect for the community because you're good at talking with people and building those relationships.
Yeah. Even now with the small business side, right? Like they know that that's a big component of what I do.
Yeah. So did you have a small business of your own? That's what made you so passionate about it?
Well, so I started as a blogger, and that essentially became my business.
Oh,
right?
I love it.
Yeah, because I was getting paid to blog, I was getting paid to go to events and create events, so that became my side hustle. And it grew into the Creativity Well, which is my consulting firm.
Okay, so you're in your consulting firm. You want to help people kind of do what you did.
Yeah, basically. So I have. Yeah, so I opened that during COVID, and I was helping small business owners more on the content development side.
Okay,
so I would help you. Yeah, so I would help them more on like the social media side, their websites, the writing the content, developing photography or video, whatever they needed, and then. I did the shift like a year later when I started this job because I realized that really what I needed to help a lot of people was in their strategy building for their business.
Okay. Yeah. And that's the creativity
The Creativity Well.
Okay.
It encompasses all of that.
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah. No, when you do multiple things, I always try to make sure we know like, every single thing.
The Creativity Well.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. So how many businesses have you helped so far?
Well, through my job, over 300 now in the last year. Personally, through my company, in 2020, I had a total of like 15 clients throughout the year. It was because 5 of them were consistent through the whole year, and then the other ones were just kind of like random. But yeah, 2020, or not 2020, it was right after 2021 was a very busy year for me with my solo, like doing my own entrepreneurship thing.
Yeah. And so I always like to ask this question, entrepreneurship, how are you feeling about it? Do you love it? Or are you kind of like,
I think it depends what day it is, right? Okay. So on days, back in 2021 when I first started, I think I would have told you that it was hard and I like hated it because I was still trying to build. But now, almost 3 years later, I love it. And it just depends on the day, right? Yeah. Of what's going on and like the different things. But you reset. Right. Yeah. So today was bad, but tomorrow we're going to start over.
Yeah. And I think being that mindset coach in the entrepreneur space kind of really gives people that peace because you kind of know both sides. Yeah. Like, because you're still working and then you're also building your business and helping other people build their business. Yeah. So are you helping them like on the funding side as well? Just so if somebody wants to contact you, they kind of know.
So, not a lot of funding. Okay. For us in the college that I'm working with, it was more about resources and education. Okay. Funding kind of came at the end, like right now during this season over like the last 5 or 6 months. I do know of a lot of different funding opportunities, but it wasn't a direct thing that I was doing.
Okay. Yeah. So the workshops, are workshops like, the workshops that you guys plan out, are they like you just choosing topics? Or?
So I curated all the program, the entire program, all the series. So one that I built is Creative Business for Makers. It's a Business 101 series. It's 6 weeks long. And then the one after that is branding. So it's build your maker brand. And that one is 9 classes. It goes into branding, social media, graphic design. Okay. And then I had another small series called Growing Beyond Local, where we did logistics, importing, exporting, and finances. That's where I threw in the finance side. And then now we did another one that's called Maker to Market. So if you are someone who has a product and you want to put those products in a market, whether it's a pop-up or like a front storefront, then we have a series that deals with that. We did an AI series also this summer.
I love it. Yeah. So it's open to just the students?
No, this program was completely free. And so it's about to end in October.
Okay.
Because it's already been 2 years since the program started. And it was completely open and free to everybody, all community members. So you could have come, anybody. Not just students and staff from
That's
HCC,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So since it's ending, are you guys coming up with something new and launching something new for 2024?
So right now I have classes that are coming in September, and then we have a conference in October, which everything is free and open to everyone still. But beyond that, we created a brand. It's called HOU Made. And all the resources and all the other partners that are creating workshops and stuff will go through that website. And through that brand. But for us, like I said, I'm shifting into community partnerships. So this program will end. It was grant funded.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so that was awesome.
Yeah, so the grant ends in October, and then I'll move into my new position, which is community partnerships.
Nice. Yeah. Well, congratulations on your new position.
Thank you.
I love it. I love how all of your talents and your gifts and everything is kind of aligning.
Yes.
That way you
don't have.
Yeah.
It's taken a long time to get here.
Yeah.
I've worked in oil and gas. I've worked in the government. I've worked in medical field. So it's taken a long time for me to get here, where my career and everything that I love and am passionate about has really aligned.
Yeah. Oh, I love that for you. So this is exciting though, because people need to know about that building phase.
Yes.
And that phase of trying to figure out what you really want to do and trying to get everything to align.
Trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up.
Right.
It's taken me 20 years.
Time. Yeah. No, because it takes time, because I swear I wanted to be a nurse.
Well, I was in the medical field for 7 years. I thought I was going to go to medical school. I went as far as to go do the MCAT prepping. I was about to do my MCAT, and then I realized, no, that's not what I want. So,
yeah. And that's another thing, following this.
Yes.
Because sometimes we're so driven and we're like, we really want to do this. Because I swear I did all my classes too. Only thing I needed to do was take my nursing exam. And I was like, I don't think I want to.
Well, also life, right? Yeah. You kind of get redirected. And I think I told one of my friends, I'm like, no matter how much I've tried to escape certain things, they still come back, right? And it's a lot of the community driven stuff, working with Black and brown communities, working with women. So not that I was trying to run from it, but, I thought, I'm going to do this, And when I go back and look at my career, I'm like, well, I've always worked in the community. Yeah. I've always worked with Latinos. I've always worked, so.
It's all been aligning all along the journey, but you weren't paying attention at first. And now it's like, okay, I'm back.
Yes.
I'm back.
And now I'm so focused on this is the only thing I want to do. And so, but it's happened, and I've worked in those spaces.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So you have 3 kids.
2.
Yes,
girl. If I had 3,
I was like, am I adding one?
I would be
she looked
not.
At me like,
no. 2.
So you have a boy and a girl.
Yes.
Okay. And so you were moderating the panel for advocating for your children.
Yes.
And so you were specifically just asking moms the questions.
Yes. So
okay.
I
didn't go to that one. I went to that one.
So and I talked a little bit about how I advocate for my own kids. Okay. So the other moms, all 3 of them actually had kids who were on the spectrum.
Okay.
And who were mental health advocates for their kids. Mine has always been more on the education side.
Yeah.
And just in general, I tell the story of my son. My son is 13. He's going to be 14. He looks like a grown man. He is 5'10", 180 pounds, mustache.
Okay.
He looks like a grown man. And he had this incident at school where he had a, not altercation, but he had a run-in kind of with one of the teachers. And I had to sit him down and I said, look, first of all, you're a brown kid.
Yeah.
First of all, you're a brown boy at this school. And second of all, when an officer or another male teacher comes in, what do you think they're going to see? I said, they're going to see you not as a kid, not as a 13-year-old child that I know you are. And it was so hard to have that conversation with him. I said, they're going to see a man. They're going to see a grown, huge man hovering over this teacher. And what are they going to do? What are they going to do to you? Like, think about that. So that's my advocacy, right? Yeah. Is like for my kids, for them to be aware of who they are, what they look like, which is such a horrible and bad conversation to have. Yeah. But you have to. And so that's my thing with them. And my daughter, like, if you meet my daughter, she is like brown power all the way, right? And so she is very much aware, and she knows. And my son too. They're both very aware. And so that's been one of my biggest kind of educational side for them. Yeah. And showing up at school, right? Like my kid, I'm like, look, if something happens, you fight for what you know is right. Yeah. And I will come and bail you out later. Like, don't even think twice. And so that's always been their mindset, where I would tell a story of like, my daughter's like, Mom, I'm going to tell you something, but don't do anything yet. Like, just wait in the car. Yeah.
Let's think this through.
She'll start her story, and I'm like, I'm going to get out of the car. I'm going to go talk to these teachers. She's like, no, wait. But nothing happened. Like, I'm just telling you. Let's just have this conversation. So my kids know that I'm going to be there for them. I love that. I'm going to jump in and stand up for them because I have to.
You have to. Yeah. That's your job. And kids need that. They need to feel protected, loved, and like somebody's my mom. Oh, don't make me call my mom. Oh, yeah. She's going to come up here. So I love that. I don't think I was down there for that one, because I think we were upstairs at the time. Yep. Mm-hmm. So I was like, what was that one? But I'm so happy that you came. I just want to thank you for coming and taking time to come on my platform. This is a time that I like to ask people, do you have any questions for me?
Definitely. So I missed the beginning of your live, right? Mm-hmm. How did you guys get started in your podcasting journey? Because first of all, you and your husband have a great dynamic, so that was super fun. Yeah. But how did you get started on this journey?
We started in our house. We didn't know what the heck we were doing. This was 2018, I think 2017, somewhere like that. We started, our podcast was called Relationship Therapy. We started looking, and we're like, everybody has this name, you know. We weren't consistent. We were playing around. And then we got consistent. We found a name that we liked. And then we turned our whole area in our house into a studio. Awesome. And so then it just started growing, because we were also doing other things. My husband has a background in graphic design and engineering. Right. I have a background in mental health and counseling, and I was a teacher for a long period of time. So it's we were doing all these things, and so we had to sit down and come up with our vision and what we wanted to do together. People were trying to rent out our house.
To use it.
Yeah, to use our house, and they wanted to come over to work on branding and all this stuff, and so then birthed OM2H Creative Studios.
That is awesome.
So here we are, and and then I started my podcast this year. Okay. Because God was pulling on me and pulling on me and pulling on me. Yeah. You need to do more. You need to do more. And so, that's how my podcast came about. That's awesome. Because I'm real big in the mental health space. I love providing a safe space for people. And so that's how my podcast came about. But OM2H Creative Studios started in our house.
That's awesome. Yeah. You guys work so well together. I don't think that's an easy thing for a lot of people.
It's not. But we do. We work well, and we're actually writing a book about it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, because marriage and business can be difficult, but it can work. It can work, guys. It can work.
You can make it work, because like I said, watching you guys together, I was like, oh, that works perfect.
Yeah, and we've been doing it long enough now that we kind of know. Yeah. So that's the only person I will co-host with. Right. Because we always meet people, and they're like, let's do this together. We're like, we don't work.
And like you said, the vibe, you kind of know people's vibe, and you have to match it. Yeah, that's really important.
And we're very driven. Yeah. My husband, if he says, because he edits videos for our clients. Yeah. And so Saturday, he's like, oh, we're going to stay home. But he was editing all day. He doesn't stop. He's like a robot. So we work.
I'm so like that too. I was telling someone, I'm like, on my days off when I'm relaxing, I'm laying in bed thinking of content, creating my reels, doing my TikToks, putting all my stuff literally just laying in bed with my phone, trying to do that, but relaxing.
Yeah. I'm upstairs with my laptop, and he's down. So people don't see that. They don't see that, but we do want to share that. So we were like thinking of ways that we could share it, because we did have a personal YouTube where we would vlog. So we're trying to decide if we're going to bring that back.
Maybe more of like a behind the scenes, right?
That's
like
what we were thinking.
Setting up your cameras, you guys doing your thing, and then going back and putting it together as like, this is the behind the scenes of a, you know, when we're at home kind of day.
That's what my husband was saying. So we're probably going to bring it back.
Yeah.
Just to show people the everyday.
The behind the scenes of like, the hustle. That is so cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
So that's how that came. Any more questions?
No, I'm trying to think. I think that's it.
I love it. I love when they're like, no. And then afterwards, I get all the questions.
I know. I'm going to think about it later.
But no, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Connie, for coming. And make sure you guys go follow her on all platforms. Guys, please make sure that you're taking care of yourself, self-care, self-love. You're getting outside. I'm telling you to get outside, because I'm really telling myself that. Get outside, get some vitamin D, and always, always make sure that you allow yourself grace. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Well, guys, that concludes our episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Allow Yourself Grace podcast. For additional information about today's episode, please click the link in the show notes below. To learn more about our Grace Girls community and other resources we have to offer, head over to www.allowyourselfgrace.com. Until next time, Grace Girls, I love you all, be blessed, and continue to strive for success.